Om Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Yeah, welcome everyone to the class. So you can just put your things on mute. All right. So we'll start off. I chant the Dhyana Stokam, right? Not being on mute, and you all can chant it on your own being on mute. And I already sent the MP3 of the Dhyana Stokam, so I won't necessarily teach the Dhyana Stokam, but it's pretty straightforward, except for some of them in the second page. You may find it a little hard, but few times you listen, you'll be able to get it. Okay. ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे श्रीमहागणपतये नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம் சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः श्रीगुरुवायुरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽह्यं श्रीगुरुवायुरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने കൈരണ്ടും കുപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി യതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പീടേണ്ട തോറും രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good evening, everyone. So welcome to the class. So this is how we normally will start, right? We'll start, like I said, we'll start sharp at 7 a.m. on Saturdays, and then we'll go through the Dhyana Stokam. I'll chant. You all can chant it at your end. So what we'll do in today's class, right, is since today is Vijayadashami, I wanted to kick it off today and start on this auspicious day. So I wanted to spend some time. So one of the important things about this is to understand the meaning and the context behind everything. So that is the most essence of it, right? I think learning to say it, you learn it, no worries about it. But I think you will not get the feel or the bhakti unless you actually understand the intricacies of some of these things here. That's where we're going to spend most of our time on, right? In addition to chanting, of course. So before we get into that, I just thought we'll just do a quick round of introductions because probably all of you don't know each other and you're going to be together for a 2-year journey. So it's important that you have some context. So please, I'm just going to go by the sequence I'm seeing on my Zoom screen. I'll call out your name. Just introduce yourself. If you're not on video, please come on video if you can. Introduce yourself, say where you are from. I think some of you are not from this area. And then if you have any connection or anything to Narayaneeyam, please feel free to share. Otherwise, no worries. Just tell your name and location. Okay. So Kritika, you are first on my screen. So you'll have to go.
Hey, my name is Kritika Hariharan. I am from Hoffman Estates. And Narayaneeyam, it was like Rajesh asked me, I'm going to start, are you planning? I said yes, because I heard about Narayaneeyam, but I don't know. And I don't know how I pronounce, but I wanted to learn it. So thanks for the opportunity, Rajesh. Thank you.
Maithili Garu. You're mute. You're on mute.
Hi, my name is Maithili Chari. I live in Minnesota, and now I'm actually in Boston. I have a daughter here, so I'll be going between Minnesota and Boston, but I also have a daughter in Chicago, and I'm really excited to learn Narayaneeyam. And I met Rajesh in the Devi Mahatmyam time, and I was expressing my desire. I've been talking to him on and off, and so I'm really grateful. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Very much. Riti ji. You're on mute, Riti ji.
Hi all, my name is Rati Pukot. I live in Buffalo Grove, and I'm from Kerala. And I also actually read through the whole Narayaneeyam couple of years ago, but now I'm learning Sanskrit. I know that I made a lot of mistake reading that, so that's why I'm attending this class.
Thanks, Riti.
Thank you.
Mridula ji.
Namaskaram. Rajesh, thank you for this opportunity, first of all. Really appreciate the chance to learn Narayaneeyam with the proper pronunciation as well as the meaning. I live in Grace Lake, which is in Illinois, the northern suburb of Illinois. Nice to see everybody. Thank you again, Rajesh.
Sure. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When do I ask questions that I have already?
If it is related to the class, if it is related to the pronunciation or something, you can interrupt me and ask as we are going through it. If it is a quick question about something I'm teaching also, you can. But if it's going to be a very detailed thing, you can wait till the end of the class to ask. So
it's related to the Dhyana Shloka we recited.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I have 2 Narayaneeyam books, both in Malayalam. And so for the Pidambaram Karavirajita Shankha Chakra, it says Shankha Chakra, not Chakra Shankha.
No,
so,
I think it's different books have different sequence of that. So yeah, you are right. Some books have Shankha Chakram. That is the typical sequence of saying that. But it's not, at the end of the day, it's the 4 Ayudham Bhagavan is carrying. So it's not like one is supersedes the other. So the one which, at least the one I've been following says Chakra Chanka. So that's okay. So it's
Okay.
not either is nothing is right or wrong in this case, but I think that's the reference that we are using. So we just stick to that.
And I was also wondering about what is the source of Vagartha Pratipatta, that slokam that you recited? Is that Shankaracharya or is it Kalidasa?
I don't know. I don't know who. That looks like a Shankaracharya's thing, but I'm not sure 100%.
Okay. How about the Kaikupi, the Malayalam 4 lines you said?
You or Reti ji should be able to tell. I don't know what is the source of that either.
I don't know. That's why.
Yeah. So,
Okay. That's it. 3 questions.
no worries.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sita Garu.
Namaskaram. My name is Sita Varnasi. I live in Palatine. I'm originally from India, from Andhra Pradesh, and my in-laws are Andhra Pradesh. I'm in Hyderabad, so Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. So that's where I come from. I speak Telugu very fluently. I don't know any Tamil, but I was introduced to Rajesh by my friend and brother, younger brother kind of person, Sandeep Mallacharu. So he once mentioned to me, hey, you want to learn Narayaneeyam? My friend Rajesh teaches, and he mentioned that during COVID, and I think I have the divine blessing after 2-3 years now. And thank you, Rajesh, for not forgetting my interest and actually reaching out to me when you started a new batch. That says a lot about your commitment. So we're truly grateful for this opportunity and looking forward to learning this and being a good student.
Thank you. Malini?
Yes, I am Malini Sridhar. I am from Buffalo, New York. I came to know of the Narayaneeyam class by Rajesh through my sister Matangi. She's in Illinois, and so since she was learning, our association with Narayaneeyam dates back to several years through my dad, very devoted to Guru Ayyappan. And every day he would read at least a few verses of Narayanam before he goes to bed. That was his routine. So we are kind of associated with Narayanam for several years. But just that, as somebody said, we want to make it worthwhile in terms of learning the right way to say it and the meaning. So kind of very close to the heart, and I'm sure, I will try to be a very good student. Because of that commitment and love for this. So thanks again, Rajesh. Again, one more thing, like somebody said, did not forget me. I've been kind of bothering him for quite some time to include me in his next batch, which he did. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Anita?
Hi, my name is Anita Vinu, and I currently live in Hoffman Estates, basically from Tamil Nadu, a place called Tirupur, which is near Coimbatore. I guess I feel life is a connection of many interferences from our God, I guess. So when I'm looking for some clarity, I stumbled upon our friend conversation, and she recently finished hers with Rajesh ji, and that's how I got introduced to Narayaneeyam. And I feel it's like all a sign given by God to just show me some clarity. So I'm looking forward to have an amazing learning and looking forward to know you all more. Thank you so much, Rajesh ji, for taking me in.
Absolutely, anytime. Bhuvana, Lakshmi?
Namaskaram, everyone. This is Bhuvana. I live in Palatine. I am basically from Tamil Nadu, but I was brought up in Rajahmundry, Telugu, Andhra Pradesh. So I am equally good in Tamil and Telugu as well. So actually, I was waiting for this batch to get started for a few months now. So I'm feeling blessed to have got this opportunity on Vijayadashmi Day to start learning Narayaneeyam from Rajesh. Thank you, Rajesh.
Hello, Rajesh. This is Lakshmi Arsuman. Nice to be part of this class. Thanks, Rajesh, for teaching us. If you can allow me to explain what Mridulaji asked about that Vagartava Prakto. So it is from Kumara Sambhavam, from Kalidasas.
Okay.
Kalidasas, Kumara Sambhavam. And then it says, the Shiva and Parvati are when you say a word, how a meaning is immediately conveyed, a meaning and word cannot be separated. The same way, Shiva and Parvati are inseparable, right? Shiva, Shakti, Aikya. So that's what the shloka says by Kalidasa. So as soon as you utter a word, the meaning is converted, right? So that's what it is. It is from Kalidasa's Kumara Sambhavam.
Thanks, Lakshmi. Okay, Sachi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sashireka Ramesh. I live in Naperville, Illinois. No big connection except, we're all connected to Krishna. That's the only thing. And everybody in my Devi Martin class had learned this. So I'm like, yeah, I need to learn it too, But I think it's much more than that, which I will realize as I learn through the chapters, I think. Dashakas. Thank you, Rajeshi, for including me. And I really feel blessed for this opportunity.
Thanks, Shashikar. Vijay Renga.
Hi everyone. I'm Vijay Lakshmi. I live in Buffalo Grove. Basically, I'm from Tamil Nadu, Trichy. Actually, people might know I'm from Srirangam. So Narayaneeyam, my mom, she chants regularly in Guruvayurappan temple. So last year she came here. She got an opportunity to chant in temple, and then she left the book here. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's all by God's grace. I'm getting a chance to learn from Rajesh ji. So I'm very thankful. Thank you, Rajesh ji, for including me. Looking forward to learn with you all.
Absolutely. Renga Ilya. Mute. You're on mute.
Actually, our சின்னவளோட இருக்கார். அவ ஒரு கிளாஸ்ல அப்படின்னு.
Okay, no way. And then I have somebody on an iPhone. I don't know who that is. It doesn't show the name. So whoever I'm not called, that's the last person. Okay. Anyway, the person on iPhone, later on, if you want to mute and introduce, please do. Okay. So thanks everyone. Thanks for that. And the only reason I kind of say that, I think like all of you said, sometimes the timing has to happen, right? And some of you have been pinging me for last couple of years, and I try to keep 2 batches. That was when we were doing everything during COVID. I had 2-3 batches running, and then I also had Devi Mathyams going on. So now everything is kind of coming to an end. So I thought the time is apt to start one, right? And it's a pretty long journey. It takes about 2 years, right? So that's the commitment. So I'm always when I first started during COVID, I was very afraid of starting this because it's a commitment from my side. It's also a commitment from your side, right? And I wasn't sure how it was going to be. But now that I've completed about 5 such batches, 6 and 7 going on, I have a pretty good handle of what it takes to do it, right? So I'm clear from my side. Of course, I need the commitment from your side, right? Okay, so like I said, oh, sorry, Ravi, iPhone.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. So I'm the one, I think I was on mute, I think. I'm sorry. Hey, do you want me to introduce? Go ahead. I mean, I can do it later.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Hey, I'm Ravindran Seshadri from Deer Park, Illinois. I used to chant this Narayaneeyam during my childhood. I mean, but I never formally learned anything from anyone. So I thought this is a good opportunity to do that. Since my wife had already done this, I got a good inspiration from her. So I thought I should do it. Thank you very much, Rajesh. When I met you last time, you said immediately included. I think I asked you at the right time, I guess. So
exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Ravi's wife Shubhadra had finished learning, I think a few months back. Okay. Yeah. So like we were telling, so the way, people always say, I know different people said, I need to be able to pronounce better. I want to be able to understand. So all of those are valid reasons, right? But the measure that I tell my students every time, I think some of you ask me, how much is the fees, right? The measure for me is only one thing, right? And I'm not trying to convert anybody, is you all have love towards any God. Doesn't matter which God that is, or goddess, doesn't matter, right? The real true measure of this is, it is not about saying something well, but at the end of the 2 years, if you feel my love or my bhakti towards Krishna has gone high. Of course, it's Narayaneeyam, so it is going to be Krishna, but it can be bhakti towards any god or goddess. If you feel that your level of devotion or bhakti has gone up, then I think it's a true success. Even if you're saying this wrong, it's okay, right? If you feel that your devotion has gone up, I think that is the true measure of this, right? So that is what I want you all to measure yourself by over the next 2 years, to see if you feel more closer to Krishna or any god or goddess. Of course, with Narayaneeyam, it is going to end up being Krishna, right? So I'm a little bit biased on that front. So that is what it is. And then we will definitely spend a lot of time on meaning, right? And what I wanted to do today is, since I know most of you work, you're all used to PowerPoint presentations, and that is my life as well. So that is how I'm going to explain today's introduction, try to give a context. So I'm going to just put my screen on share, and then I'll give you all a quick overview. So let me get there. I don't use Zoom at work, so I have to figure out how I share this thing. Yeah, share screen. Okay, I see it. Okay, so I hope you're able to.
Just one thing you may want to do, there is a share sound at the bottom. When you do a share screen, I don't know if you already done it. So when you go on share screen, there will be a little rectangle thing at the bottom. Click on that, but that's when the sound from the actual video.
Oh no, there's no video. It's just me talking.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, you're pretty much going to be listening to me. So
No problem.
Okay, so I won't put it on run mode or anything. You can see it, right? So I just wanted to give some context, right? Because it's very important to understand why Narayaneeyams. Because before you start anything, there are a few things you have to understand. You have to understand about the Sthala Puranam, they say, about the place, right, where things happen. Then you have to know about the composer, right? Why the composer actually composed it. And 3 is why did that he or she composed what they composed. And so before I get into that, it is important to know, we'll start from a place where all of you are familiar with, right? So you're all familiar with, Arjuna, Subhadra, right? They had a son called Abhimanyu who got stuck in the Chakravyuh and all that. And then Abhimanyu was married to Uttara, right? And to Abhimanyu and Uttara was actually going to be a son when Uttara was actually pregnant, right? So at that time, when the Mahabharata war was actually going on, so you all know the story, right? So where, there was a Brahmastra which was actually targeted at Uttara because, they wanted to get rid of the entire Pandava clan. So at that time, what happens is Krishna then goes in and takes the size of a thumb, right? In the size of a thumb with Chaturbhujam, and then he gets into the womb of Uttara, and then he goes and protects Parikshit, or the baby who's yet to be born. So when the baby is born, because the baby actually was tested before the baby was born, that's one reason why he's called Parikshit. The second reason why he's also called Parikshit is Ikshata means to see, and Pari means to look around. So the baby, the womb of a woman is a in a non-encroachment territory. Nobody can enter that womb except the baby, right? But the first time there was somebody else who got into the womb. And so this baby was like wondering, who is it who's gotten into this uncharted territory? And that's why the baby is called Parikshit, right? So anyway, the baby is born. Now Parikshit grows up, right? And he's ruling the kingdom, which was the kingdom of the Pandavas. He's ruling well. And like things happen, sometimes things have to go wrong. One day Parikshit was, he was traveling. He got very thirsty and tired. And then he ended up coming to a hermitage. And there was a saint who was actually the sadhu who was actually meditating. And so Parikshit is thirsty. He's tired. He comes and asks for water. He comes and asks for food. The sage does not respond because the sage is meditating. And because it was his bad time, Parikshit, who is a descendant of Arjuna, who's blessed by Lord Krishna himself, right? To that level of blessings, he commits a mistake. Because what he does is he takes a dead serpent, which is actually there, and out of his anger, he puts it around the neck of that sage. So when he does that, and then Parikshit leaves. Now, this sage has a son who is actually a young boy, but he's also a very blessed boy. And that boy comes in, and then when he actually sees that his father has a dead snake around his neck, and he understands what has actually transpired, he curses Parikshit to say that you are going to be killed in the next 7 days by the bite of a snake called as Takshaka, right? Who's the king of snakes. And that Takshaka is going to come and bite you, and you're going to meet your death, right? That's the curse. So when the sage then comes out of his meditation and he comes to know that his son has ended up cursing Parikshit, he realized what a great king Parikshit is, and he felt very sorry for Parikshit, right? So he said, at least the right thing to do is to send a message to Parikshit that you're going to die within 7 days. So because he can't take the curse back that his son has given, so he sends a message to Parikshit saying you're going to die in 7 days, right? Now, if we all get a message tomorrow, which is very rare, that you're going to die in 7 days, right? We all have a bucket list of things to do, right? I want to visit all these places. I want to go eat all these things. We all have a bucket list. But Parikshit thought, because he was a blessed soul, he said, what can I do in the next 7 days? So that was a time when he came across this great person called as Shuka Brahman. Shuka Brahman is actually the son of Veda Vyasa, and he's actually supposed to be even more powerful and more stronger and more knowledgeable than Veda Vyasa himself. So you all know how great Vyasa is, right? He compiled, he structured the Vedas into 4. He's called Veda Vyasa. He did the Mahabharatam, and he also did the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Originally, he heard it from Lord Narada, and Veda Vyasa compiled it. But Shuka Brahman was even also greater than Veda Vyasa. And because sometimes they say how great a father is, they say this father is this person's father, right? That's how Veda Vyasa was also known. And those who know Vishnu Sahasranamam, it has a sentence in there as well. Anyway, so Shuka Brahman, so Parikshit comes and tells Shuka Brahman that what is my path? What is the right thing I can do over the next 7 days, right? So that is when Shuka Brahman then narrates Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit over 7 days. That's called Saptaham, which is still followed, right? So 7 days chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, why is this thing relevant, right? We are talking about Narayaneeyam. Now, why is Bhagavatam relevant here, right? The problem that actually, or challenge that is actually there with Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas which has got 18,000 shlokas. And it is extremely tough, relatively, right, compared to everything else that we know of. And it's very hard for a normal mortal like us to actually learn Bhagavatam in its true essence and then to be able to continuously able to chant it, right? So one of the things that actually ended up happening in history, this happened 3,500 years back, right? Because this is towards the end of Parikshit's life. So when Parikshit is actually listening to Bhagavatam, he listens to Bhagavatam anyway. At the end of 7 days, Takshaka comes and Parikshit dies and all that stuff. But he attains liberation because he listened to Bhagavatam for 7 days. Now, the reason that is important is when you now fast forward to 1560, right? From BC, you come to AD here when Kali Yuga is going on. So at that time, there is another birth of a great person which happens in Kerala, a person by name of Narayana Bhattatri. So this Narayana Bhattatri, he was born in the banks of the Bharatapuzha river. I think we have a couple of people from Kerala here who know that. And he was also born in a Divya Desham called as Tirunambaya. And it is in Melpattur is the Agraharam or the village where he was actually born. And this Bhattatripad, of course, he was born in the clans of Nambudiri, and he had learned everything, and he was very familiar with all the Vedic texts and everything. But like it happens when somebody's in the youth, right, you end up getting distracted. There are some other distractions, and he gets married, and then he goes into a different way. So one day, when one of his guru, Achyuta Pisarati, when he was actually drawing the Sri Chakram and doing the Jyotisha, so Bhattatripad, who was, I don't know how old at that point, he ends up trying to jump over it, right? Because he's running. And at that time, he then gets rebuked by Achyuta Pisarati saying, what a bad thing. He's such a scholarly person. He's born in a great lineage and he's wasting his time doing other insignificant things. So that kind of sometimes you need to have the check, right, in your life to kind of bring you back on track. And that's what happens, right? So Bhattatripad then gets back on track. And later on, in the future, this person, Achyuta Pisarati, he's sick with rheumatoid arthritis, the guru. So Bhattatripad then, he wanted to give some kind of a guru dakshina, right? So he was trying to find out what is the right dakshina I can give to my guru who's changed my life. And through mantra margam, tantra margam, what Bhattatripad does is he takes over that illness, right, from his guru. So his guru is freed of the illness. And Bhattatripad, who's in his youth, right, is about 20 some years at that time, 20 odd, mid 20s or whatever, he takes on that illness onto himself. So now Bhattatripad now has rheumatoid arthritis and he's not able to do anything because he's suffering a lot. So at that time, Bhattatripad decides to go to Guruvayur. Now, the question comes is, why is Bhattatripad going to Guruvayur? Why is he not going to any other place, right? So that is where we will kind of, go back to where we left the story, right, of Parikshit. So after Parikshit passes away, his son, Janame Jayan, takes birth, and he's growing up, and at some point in time, Maharshi Uttankar explains to Janmejayan the greatness of his legacy and talks about the greatness of Parikshit. And as he's telling that, he also talks about how his father was bit by Takshaka, and that's how his father's death came about. So Janmejayan is now extremely upset. So what he does is he actually does a yagam called as a Sarpa Satra Yagam. So when he does that yagam, when the sages are chanting the mantras, snakes anywhere in the world will all start falling into the fire, because his goal was he wanted to bring Takshaka himself into the fire and burn Takshaka. So at that time, Astika Maharshi, a couple of them come and advise him saying, look, you have a problem with Takshaka. What you are doing of killing all these snakes is not right? You are actually committing a grave sin by doing all these things. So anyway, they convince Janmejayan to not do that, right? Now, what happens is, because of the sin Janmejayan committed by killing so many thousands of snakes by doing this Sarpa Satra Yagam, he then gets significant skin infections. So at that time, Janmejayan goes to Guruvayur to heal himself. And when Janmejayan goes to Guruvayur, and then he heals himself, and then he recovers. So Guruvayur already has a legacy of being able to cure any infections, any diseases, anything. So we all look for precedent, right? Has something already happened, so you can actually repeat it. So similarly, Bhattaripad is saying, if Janmejayan has committed so much sins, and he was suffering from such incurable disease, and he gets cured by going to Guruvayur, I am suffering from just rheumatoid arthritis, I should go to Guruvayur, I'm going to get cured, right? So that's why Bhattaripad then goes to Guruvayur. Now, once he goes to Guruvayur, and then he doesn't know what to do, right? He's praying. He's there in Guruvayur, he's praying every day, nothing is happening. And at that time, there is another great poet and a saint called as Ramanuja Ezhuthachan, the Malayali. And he comes, and then Bhattaripad is sending kind of his disciples to tell him, go ask him what I should do so I can actually get cured from this rheumatoid arthritis. So Ramanuja Ezhuthachan tells Bhattaripad, start with the fish, right? Or touch the fish and start, right? Now, in Malayalam, he says, meena tottu kootuga, means it could also mean start by eating the fish, right? That could also be the other, touch the fish and eat, right? That's also another way of interpreting it. But Bhattaripad knows that Ramanuja Ezhuthachan is a big philosopher, big poet, and he also knows Bhattaripad doesn't eat fish. So he kind of interprets it as, I should go talk about the greatness of the Lord, right? Starting with the Matsyavataram, starting with the avatars, right? And what Bhattaripad does is, like we talked about, Srimad Bhagavatam, what I spoke about, which has got 18,000 stanzas. He has literally taken this 18,000 stanzas and condensed it into 1,032 verses for us. That's what he has done. So everything that is there in Narayaneeyam is part of Bhagavatam, and pretty much everything that is there in Bhagavatam is part of Narayaneeyam. So it's like an executive summary of Srimad Bhagavatam. For all of us who are not able to read Srimad Bhagavatam every day or learn it, Narayaneeyam is the best way to kind of get closer to Srimad Bhagavatam, which was, of course, like I said, compiled by Veda Vyasa, communicated by Shuka Brahman to Parikshit, and Bhattaripad now condensed it and provided it in the form of Narayaneeyam for everybody, right, in the Kali Yuga. Now, what this Narayaneeyam has, like we're saying, the first 9 skandams of Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam has got like 12 skandams. So the first 9 skandams of Bhagavatam are the first 36 dashakams of Narayaneeyam. The 10th skandam of Bhagavatam, which is the biggest skandam, which has got 6,000 stanzas, 90 chapters, is on Lord Krishna, which is what Bhattaripad is covering from dashakams 37 to 88 of Narayaneeyam. And then the last couple of skandams are in the 89 to 97, right? So even Parikshit, now when Parikshit went and asked Shuka Brahman, how do I attain salvation? Shuka Brahman could have started by talking about Lord Krishna on day 1, right? But Shuka Brahman felt even Parikshit was not ready to understand the true essence of Krishna on day 1, that he has to go through 4 days of learning about everything else before he can even start talking about Krishna, right? That was the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, is talking about Krishna, but he retained it for later, right? So similarly, in Narayaniyam, as we are going to go through it, right, we have to give ourselves time. We're going to learn a lot of other things which are going to happen, talk about the Lord in general, and only from Dashakam 37 to 88 is all about Sri Krishna. And then from 89 to rest of the stuff is other philosophical stuff as well. So we'll do it. And at the end of each Dashakam in Narayaniyam, Bhattatripad ends. The Dashakam means something which has got 10 stanzas. Now, some other Dashakams have more than 10 stanzas, but in general, it's about 10 stanzas, right? So he, at the end of every Dashakam, Bhattatripad ends it with a prayer to say, please cure my diseases. Now, it is all written in first person. So when you chant it, it is you saying, please cure my prayers, right? It is kind of, it's as if you are going and requesting, because he's chanting, he's written it in the first person. And he does it in 100 days. One day, one Dashakam, Bhattatripad composes. And on the 100th Dashakam, he gets the vision of the Lord right in front of him in the Guruvayurappan temple. And then Bhattatripad then gets cured, right? So that is the greatness of the Narayaniyam, and it ends with Ayur, Arogya, Saukyam and everything. We'll talk more about it. So that is the greatness of it, is how he recovered. And that's why this is a very famous text, because it's a living example of how one can actually, grow, starting from Dashakam 1 to eventually going to Dashakam 100. And one of the big beauty of Narayaniyam, which is not there in any other scripture, is it doesn't address the Lord in a second person or a third person. So it doesn't say, like, not to compare, but in Devi Mahatmyam, since most of you know that, it says Devi did this, Devi said this, right? It talks about Devi that way. In Narayaniyam, Bhattatripad says, you did it. You went and did it. You went and you talked about it, right? So he addresses it directly to the Lord. So every conversation, every stanza that comes here will have the word tvam in there in Sanskrit, which is saying you did it, right? So it doesn't say that Lord Krishna did it. It always goes, so it's directly addressed in first person, and we'll see some of that as we go through it. So that is one of the beauty of that, right? So, and then the last thing I wanted to cover was about our class itself, right? So like I said, this typically takes about 22 months. That's what I've seen. So maybe about 24 months, depending on, if we have any breaks in between and all that. We'll have a class every Saturday from 7 to 8:30. It's going to be a 90-minute class. Typically, I cover about one Dashakam per class, but when we go into the 40s and 50s, we'll be able to do almost 1.5 to 2 Dashakams mostly, because those are relatively smaller chapters, and we'll have some periodic reviews in between. Every class, like what we're doing right now, will be recorded, and then I upload it to YouTube. I send you a link. So if you're not able to attend the class for any reason, you will be able to go back and you will be able to listen to the entire session. And it is absolutely my expectation that, and I think some of you have taken classes from me before, or people who have taken, the only expectation is you come to the next class prepared, having practiced what we learned the previous class. Whether you attended the class doesn't matter, but you should be prepared with what we learned in the previous class, and at least practice and come, because otherwise we're not going to be able to keep up, because we're going to keep adding every class, right? So you're not going to be able to keep up. So that's extremely important. And I recommend and prefer that at least the people who I pick as students for the class be on video. So I am also able to look at you and see how you're chanting. And typically I pick 2 students to do a review at the beginning of the class, and then I'll pick 2 students to repeat after me for the new portion for the first half of the class, and 2 students for the second half of the class. And then you will get used to it as we go through it, right? And I know sometimes you're not able to join. If you're not able to join, just let me know, so I don't look for you in the class, right? So that was just a quick overview of Narayana Bhattatri. It was also an overview of the Narayaneeyam. One other thing which I did not share, which I'll kind of continue talking about is, and then I'll see if anybody has any questions, is about Guruvayur itself, right? Why is Guruvayur famous? That's also extremely important to understand, right? So when Krishna was departing, right, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, so he had an idol with him. This idol was originally given to Brahma. It was a Chaturbhujam. It's got 4 arms, the form of the Lord with Chaturbhujam, which was given to Brahma to pray. And then there were, Sutapas, one sage, and they were actually praying to the Lord, and then the Lord came in front of them, and the Lord asked, what do you want? And then they say that, Prithni and Sutapas, they say that we want you as our child. They do tapas for thousands of years. The Lord says, okay, since you did tapas for so many years, I'll be born to you 3 times. Okay. And in each of those times, I want you to worship this idol of mine. And then the Lord gives them an idol, which Brahma prayed. So in the first instance, the Lord was born as Prithni Garbha to them. In the second time, he was born to Kashyapa and Aditi as Vamana. That is the second birth of the Lord. Third time, he was born to Devaki and Vasudeva as Lord Krishna. In all of those 3 times, all of those 3 parents worship the same Chaturbhujam of the Lord. So that's when, and we'll see it when we come to Krishna Avataram, that's how Devaki and Vasudeva knew who the person was. Because when the Lord was born, he was born as Chaturbhujam, and they saw, I've seen this image somewhere. That's the image that they have been worshipping. So when Krishna was departing, he had a very close friend, Uddhava, who we are going to see about. And then he tells Uddhava, I'm going to give you an idol. This idol, I want you to go protect it, right? And then he says, and then Krishna departs. Now, Uddhava has this idol with him. And Uddhava was a disciple of Brihaspati Guru. So Brihaspati, and then this was, what you call, the tsunami comes, wipes out Dwaraka, right? So Uddhava has his idol with him. Then with the help of Guru and Vayu, this idol is going now, and it has to go find a place. So when it is going, they meet Shiva and Parvati in a particular place. And Shiva and Parvati say, this is the place you have to install this idol, right? And because Shiva says, this is the place where the Prachetas did tapas for 10,000 years. And we're going to see Prachetas Charitram in Dashakam 19. So he says, and Shiva says, I taught them Shiva Gita and all that. And this is the place. So that place, because it was established by Guru and Vayu, that place is called Guru Vayur, right? So that's how that idol got established. So the idol of Guru Krishna, which is there in Guru Vayur, has been there for millennia, right? And it has been worshipped by all these different people. That's why, and Shiva, so originally Guruvayur is not even of Lord Krishna. It was a Shiva and Parvati. And for people who have gone to Guruvayur, there's a temple called Mammiyur, which is there, which has unfortunately gone down in significance because Guruvayur has become so prominent. But there's a very nice Shiva Parvati temple in Mammiyur, which is where they were. And there is a lake, and all the references will come later. So anyway, so that is a place which Shiva Parvati say it's important. And so that's where that idol was established. And that's how that sthalam became so famous, because of the presence of the idol there and the presence of the Lord there, right? So that's why, Janemejayan went there, he got cured. Say Bhattatripat went there, they get cured. And that's why thousands of people still flock to Guruvayur, right? That is the context of the Sthala Puranam of why Guruvayur Bhattatri was there. And Bhattatripat wrote it looking at the Lord inside the sanctum, right? And if you next time, if you all go to Guruvayur, if you get a chance, and then you enter into that final altar, you immediately look to your left. There will be a board which says, this is where Narayana Bhattatri sat and wrote Narayaneeyam, right? Of course, the temple has changed so much. At the time, he must not have had all these different layers of going inside the temple. But that's a place where he sat, where you can get a direct view of the Lord. And then he will ask questions. And in some cases, the Lord is going to answer. And we'll see that as we go through the Dashak, right? So with that, I'll pause and see if quickly, I want to cover one stanza today. So I can take a couple of questions if anybody has any question on what we covered so far or about the class itself.
Can you share the slides with us?
Yeah,
I
sure.
remember.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one quick question, which is not connected to what you covered, but your involvement and your connection to Guruvayur, and whether you seem to know so much about the temple. Do you go there often? And I want to know how you got initiated.
So when I was small, I was in a place called Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, and that is very close to Guruvayur. And we used to go there multiple times. It was never that crowded. But more importantly, my mother's father, they used to call him a walking Narayaneeyam, because you could pick up any sloka, 1036 stanzas, and you pick up a word, and then he'll tell you the entire stanza and the meaning. That is how he was, right? And so probably that came in my genes, because when I later on moved into Bombay, where we hosted Narayaneeyam class in our house, where my father, my mother, My grandmother, all my uncles, my aunts, everybody learned. I was in 9th grade at that time, and my dad used to tell that you have to spend an hour and a half every Friday, no matter what, right? So I used to literally come, and then because I was in 14 years old, everybody else was 40 years, 50 years. So the Guruji who used to be there used to say, Rajesh, you got to come and sit in the front, right? I used to sit in the front, and then so that was that is how I learned, right? Back then, when I was 14, 15, and then I've been chanting since then. So yeah, that is how I'm connected to that.
Very inspiring. Thank you.
So have you memorized the whole Narayaneeyam?
Yeah, I kind of know it by heart. I've been saying it for a while now, so yeah.
Wow.
All right. So we'll just start with the stanza 1 today. So I want 2 volunteers. Whoever wants to volunteer for today. Okay, Maithili. And then okay. So I normally will say the meaning, but we don't have time today. So I'll do the meaning of this in the next class. But the way we'll do it is I'll first say the 4 lines. I will then tell the meaning of it. And then we'll break it into two lines, and then you're going to repeat after me, right? And it is important that, we can all say the 4 lines together, but then 90% of the people will not be able to do it. So what we do is we break it.
Rajesh, sorry to interrupt. Can you please share the slide, because I don't have the printout for today.
Okay, நான் அனுப்புறேன். நான் இந்த class முடிச்சிட்டு I'll send it.
இப்போ நீங்க வந்து ஷேர் பண்ண முடியுமா? Can you please share it here?
Oh, the stanza 1, I sent it in the WhatsApp group, right?
Okay.
It should be there, Tamil and Sanskrit questions. Okay. So it's important that you mark where I tell you to mark. Number 1, because it will be easy for you. And number 2, when we are saying as a group, we'll be consistent. And if you might have learned elsewhere, if somebody else is chanting, they might be chanting slightly different, which is okay. It's just where they stop to be different. So stanza 1. Sandhranandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshabadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam. So now I normally explain the meaning, but I'll skip for today. So because it's Sanskrit, there's a lot of sandhis. So sometimes you cannot break the words, but where possible, I'll tell you how to break it. But some words you cannot break it. So Sandhranandhava bodhatmakam anupamitam, and then you put a comma. So when I say put a comma, I literally wanted to put a comma because I wanted to pause there. Okay, so pause there because I don't want you to pause somewhere else. So that's why I'm telling you to pause there. Okay, which means everything, if I'm not telling you to pause, I expect you to eventually say it together. In the first class, you may not be able to do it, but eventually you ought to be able to say it up to that point together. So comma, kala desha vadibhyam, comma, nirmuktam nitya muktam, comma, nigama shata sahasrena nirbhasyamanam. So I'll say it 1 time, and then Maithili garu, I want you to say it 2 times, and then Sita garu, you say it 2 times as well. Okay. Sandhranandhava bodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigama shatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam.
Santanandava bodhatmakam anupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigama shata sahasrena nirbhasya manam. Sandranandava bodhatmakam anupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashata sahasrena nirbhasyamanam.
Sandranandavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladesavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigama sata sahasrena nirbhasyamanam.
Kala desha. Sha sound there.
It's a sha. Okay. सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम्.
Aspashtam dristamatre, comma, punaruru purusharth atmakam. Punaruru purusharthatmakam. It kind of flows together as one word. You cannot break that word. Okay. Brahma tattvam, comma, tattavat bhati sakshat guru pavana pure, comma, hanta, another comma, bhagyam janana. So hanta is like the word alas, right? ALAS, and then you put an exclamation, right? So that's why that word, when it comes, you kind of say it just as a word on its own. It's not merged with other things, right? Aspashtam drishtamatre punaruru purusharthatmakam brahma tattvam tattavad bhati sakshat guru pavana pure hanta bhagyam jananam.
Aspashtam dristamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattvad dhati sakshad guru
Tattavad
bhati sakshat guru pavanapure hanta bhagyam janana.
After hanta, there's a pause. Hanta
Hanta bhagyam jananam. Aspashtam drishtamatre punaruru purusharthatmakam brahma tattvam tattavad bhati sakshat guru pavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam.
अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानाम्. अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त Bhagyam Jananam.
Brahmane Namaha. So a couple of just small things, right? So like, don't feel offended or feel bad if I correct you 100 times, and I'm not going to feel bad either. So don't feel that I'm feeling you're putting effort on me, right? I'll correct you as many times as it takes, and I don't have a problem with that. Number one. And number two is, even if any of you are finding it tough, you can ask the people who referred you. A lot of people did find it tough, but everybody is an expert right now. So it's like anything else. It's a matter of persistence and a matter of practice. That's all it takes, right, to get there. And we'll do it together as a group. Okay.
And that is a tune you have to sing in. Like the whole thing is in that.
There are three different tunes which are going to come. Okay. This is like a 4-liner. And then there are 2 other tunes which are going to come when it's a smaller stanza, smaller sentence. And I can assure you, I have nothing to do with music. I'm extremely bad at music. But if I'm able to do it in that tune, you'll be able to eventually get that tune. You'll get it as well. Okay. So don't worry about that. Right?
I'm sorry I have just one question though. I know that you have a Sanskrit book for me. So, but I am in Buffalo, New York, not in Buffalo Grove. So
whoever I bought the book, if you want me to send it to you, just send me a WhatsApp message with your address. I'll send it over to you this week.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, yeah. Just want to. I have other versions of Narayaneeyam, but I want to make sure we follow the same one. So.
Yeah, even the book I got you might be slightly different from mine, but that's okay. But I got it. You can take it.
You. I'll send you then.
Sure. Bhuvana or Lakshmi, you had a question?
Yeah, Rajesh, it's me. Are we going to practice, record, and send it to you for any corrections over the?
Not needed. If any of you want to, initially you can do it. But if all, I think we're going to have 15 students in the class. If all of you do it, I may not be able to get to everybody. But but yeah, if you want to send a sample at some point, I can definitely take a look at it. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, go ahead, Anita.
For those of us who are reading in Tamil, Rajeshji, what are the numbers 3 and 4 mean?
Okay, so when you have the word, when it is on tha, right? Sanskrit has 4 things. Tha, tha, da, dha. Ta, tha, da, dha, right? 4. So in Tamil, when you have 1, that means it's definitely the first ta. Tha is with more air coming out of your mouth is the second one. Da is the third one. Dha is the fourth one, right? So similarly, it will also be there for ta, ta, da, da, 4, right? So that you'll have to get used to it. If you're not, I think Malayalam and Telugu, I think it's a little bit more easier from what I've heard. But Tamil, you might have a little bit of a challenge under tracking those numbers, but you'll have to get used to it.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Kahin vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanahi samarpayami. Okay, thank you everyone. I'll see you all sharp at 7 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.